Finally, just before I hand over to questions, I want to tell you about the Mitchell problem. Now, this isn't a talk about these three gentlemen and the problematic judgment of November 2013, nor is it actually a talk about these two gentlemen. So I know you've had lots of talks about Mitchell and Denton et al. I'm not, of course, going to bore you, I hope, with that material again. But let me entertain for a moment with this, that, of course, we now know, and I'm not slandering the good MP to say that he did apparently call the police officer a pleb. But my favourite bit about the case is that Mr. Justice Mitting decided, whilst finding for the police officer, to have his own go at him and to tell him that he had neither the wit nor the imagination to have made up his account. So, not about all of that. It's about how Part 36 works in a Mitchell scenario. There is an argument. Let's move slightly from Mitchell, because in Mitchell it was by analogy that Master MacLeod did this, but let's assume it was Rule 314 that had caught him. Rule 314 tells us that for his terrible sin of being a minute late with a budget, I know he was more, he should be deemed to have filed this budget limited to court fees. The teeth of it, though, is 318. And what that tells us is that on a standard basis costs assessment, the court will not, without good reason, depart from the last approved or agreed budget. Well, the last approved or agreed budget is deemed to be court fees. But I'm a claimant, Mitchell might have argued. I should get indemnity costs under Part 36, so we don't need to worry about all of that. I can get over the problem. Could have been an argument. I'd be fascinated to know, I don't know if the lawyers are in the room, whether Mitchell had made a Part 36 offer. Of course, slightly irrelevant because he lost, but I wonder if that argument was coming. It wouldn't work in reverse, though. It wouldn't work because a defendant in that scenario doesn't get indemnity costs under Part 36. And I don't think that a judge would have thought much of the first argument, frankly, and that certainly a judge would dislike the idea that it was down to the whim of whether you were claimant or defendant in the case that determined whether you could get out of your original offence. So what we've done is a new Rule 23. So if you cut past the personal injury material and you get to page 19, you'll see the new rule. And what it comes to is, if you look at Rule 2, there are three circumstances in which you can get bonus costs under Part 36. These are they. The other side have accepted late. You're a defendant, you've made an offer that the claimant has failed to beat. And the third one, you're a claimant and you've equalled your own offer. In each of those situations, you can get some bonus costs. Well, in those situations, what the new rule provides is that costs in each of those three rules that provide for these bonus costs shall mean 50% of the costs assessed without reference to the court fees limitation. So you still need to assess them. Whatever you would have got if you hadn't been so naughty with your budget, you now get 50% of that sum. Now, the logic of it is we're trying to make Part 36 still work in a Mitchell-type scenario. I hope very much we'll see far fewer of these orders and that we really won't get many people caught with this particular problem, and that Rule 3623 will be rarely used. I hope that's very much the case. But if somebody is caught by it, at least they still have the ability to use Part 36, and at least the other side no longer has a blank cheque to litigate the thing to their heart's content, being utterly unreasonable as to any settlement offer made. So that's the suggested solution.